welcome back to We Are Liars. Have you missed us? We missed you.
Hi, friends.
We're discussing season 2, episode 19. So close to the end of the season. The Naked Truth aired February 2nd, 2012, written by Oliver Goldstick and Francesca Rollins, and directed by Elodie Keane. Truth Up Day, Michelle, comes to Rosewood High as a chance for students to put a stop to bullying and clear the air. But for Arya, Emily, Hannah, and Spencer, the day has a whole different meaning. We could have just said the girls. We did not have to list every
Well, they just wanted to make sure you knew who we were talking about.
right? Like,
what other girls in Rosewood are we talking about?
What other girls? So, Arya, Emily, Hannah, and Spencer, this day has a whole different meaning. Yeah. We watched this together. We cackled. It was a good time.
I'm so glad we
really
watched
enjoy
this
it,
together.
actually.
It was a good episode. And like I said at the end, we found out some stuff.
We found out some juicy bits in this episode.
So it was a gift that gave.
Yes. The gift that gave one gift. And then hopefully for the rest of the season, we'll continue to get gifts. And we do. To be honest, there are each episode, as we get closer and closer to the finale, we do get like pretty definite answers, not like things that are like up in the air. So
okay,
it's it's good to see. So I just want to start out with a question from Mike. He said, did our schools have an overnight event like this? Vic adds, if your friends were participating, would you decide to participate as well?
We were talking about this when we were watching, and we both felt our schools did not do this.
No, and also we wouldn't want to do this.
No, this is not something I would participate in. I don't care if my friends were attending. Like, I'm not sleeping in the school.
Yeah, I am while I was, when we were younger and we had sleepovers and things, like I only really slept over places I was super comfortable at, like your house or like my friends from dance. Like other than that, like I just didn't want to be like on the floor or in someone else's bed, just totally. It's awkward.
It is awkward.
And also like you feel like you're not a nuisance, but like you're a trouble to maybe the family. I don't know. So like this, they're sleeping with their entire class in this like gymnasium situation. I'm like, ugh.
Right. It was so strange to me. I mean, but we've seen this before. I feel like in other shows, they have the lockdown. Yeah, if you will. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Do you really bond and
and this seemed like it was mandatory. So they couldn't get out of it because when we open up the episode, both Mrs. Marins, which I think is so funny, are arguing in the principal's office about their daughters and if Hannah's to blame. And of course, Isabel feels she is. And so Principal Tamborelli tells them that he is assigning them in the same group at Truth Up Day, but not that they have to attend. It almost seemed like, no, you have to attend this very strict thing. But no, they actually were already going, and now they're in the same group.
Yeah, and also Tamborelli
sucks.
Hi, though I don't remember your face.
No, I'm pretty sure he's.
Did we recast him? Did we? Like I feel like we've spoken to a principal before. I would have remembered him. He's from Smart Guy.
Yeah, we would have remembered him.
Yeah,
Mr. Henderson, right? Was that what their names were
on Smart Guy?
Yeah. Did I make that Hendrickson?
Well,
that's my memories.
That's okay.
Ignore that. All right. Anyway, so parents and teachers and staff are allowed to participate at Truth Up Day. So Ashley says that she's going to volunteer to help out just so she can watch and see what's going on. Hannah meets up with the other girls later on, and she's getting glares in the hallway because everyone thinks she did what it seems like she did, which is send this naked picture of her now stepsister. And they talk about how having A's phone seemed like they had the upper hand, but now it's like A is using their phones against them.
Right.
Ashley talks with Hannah later on because she's still confused as to how this picture would come from her phone, but she's saying that she didn't do it. And she's also saying that she's being basically blackmailed, or that someone else sent it and she's not to be blamed. And Ashley said, this is like the second time that I've heard you talk about someone framing you. Who is this?
Yeah.
Hannah says she doesn't know. Again, she doesn't know.
Well, she's also not giving up information, and it's so painful to watch because you can tell that Hannah's telling the truth. That scene was so beautiful, acted by Ashley, with just the tear.
She had like great
single tear coming down, and it's like, Ashley wants to believe her kid, but Hannah's not giving up information, and she's not going to tell her about the whole A thing.
Right, and so Ashley's frustrated. While she wants to believe her, how could she? Because there's no proof of that she didn't do it, and so to jump ship in the morning, we have Spencer picking up the dry cleaning from Vivian's claim ticket, which happens to be Michelle.
Oh my God, the red coat!
A frickin' red coat.
Finally.
Michelle gasped. She's like, oh my God, a red coat. Because for years, y'all, this is probably one of just like the random sayings that like Ingrid and I or my sister or whoever has said to her. And she probably just like, it didn't register exactly, but now she knows for sure. Oh, a red coat.
Well, I said it's the red coat, and you said it's a red coat.
Well, I said we'll get there. Throughout the season, like this coat has more meaning to it.
I'm assuming so. I mean, someone came to a Halloween party with a red coat. Was that you?
I did. Oh no,
your cousin?
That was actually a Pretty Little Liars like watch party that we did with my cousins. I might have maybe for Halloween done it too.
Someone came to one of my parties with a red coat.
It might have been me. It might because I did have a like a parka. It wasn't a raincoat, but it was like not a down woolish, not real wool, but like one of those winter coats. Anyway, so we see this red coat and the girls are like, what do we do with it? This is obviously not Allison's style, but maybe it's Vivian's style. And they search the pockets. Aria finds this random telephone number. We keep finding these random numbers somewhere. And they decide to call it and they leave a message and that's it. Spencer sees Jason at school that day and she's shocked because honestly I think she probably thought Jenna and Garrett like had him locked up somewhere because she's like, what are you like, where were you, what are you doing? And he says that he was at his grandmother's house in Georgia just fixing up some loose ends. And Spencer and him, it's a little bit awkward obviously, but Jason's like, hey, can you tell your dad I've been meaning to speak with him, like please get him in contact with me because he keeps dodging my calls and he can't do that forever. And Spencer's like, yeah, sure. Okay. Like, what's it about? And of course, at this point, Ella comes in and she's like, Jason, are you available to come and volunteer your time at Truth Up Day? And at first he's like, hell no. And then when he hears both Hastings parents are going to be there, he's like, yeah, sure. I can make myself available.
Right.
Spencer's like, what's this about?
Right. I just can't not laugh when you say Truth Up Day.
I know.
And how come nobody that was attending was laughed at this? And I think it was Rihanna in the chat, and she was like, it would have made, or someone said in the Discord, it would have made more sense if these girls just addressed how funny of a name Truth Up Day is.
I agree.
Like a throwaway line of like, oh, what kind of name is this?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
We can't be the only ones. I can't be the only one laughing at this.
No, I don't think we are, but I think we're to assume that maybe this is something that has been done like year after year. And so like maybe to them, it's like a normal name, but to us, it's so ridiculous. Like it just doesn't roll off the tongue. There's no
Truth
Up Day. It's awful. And then before Truth Up Day, Aria is reserved with Holden because now she has seen this big ass bruise that he has and he won't explain it. And then to make matters worse, she witnesses this bag of just pills that are in like a plastic baggie roll out of his bag. And she acts cold towards him because she doesn't know what this means. She's like, are you dealing? Are you doing drugs? And he's like, no. But at this point, the conversation gets broken up. And then later he asks if they can still meet up because he's really counting on it. And she's like, I just don't feel comfortable doing this anymore until I know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So Holden, he's let down.
He's on hold.
Holden is on hold. Okay, so Truth Up Day. No cell phones allowed. If they find a cell phone, they're going to confiscate it. So no one really has any way of contacting each other. Not that they should be because they're supposed to be participating in these activities, but they're not supposed to be having their cell phones. We have some really fun grouping of people. Mm-hmm. Lots of listeners asked which group we'd want to be a part of. I think it's quite obvious.
jokingly, I want to say the group that Spencer was a part of because we didn't get to see that one.
Yes.
So I would have loved to have been a part of that one, but I'll go with the Caleb, Jenna, Aria group.
Yeah. So it's Veronica and Jason who are the volunteers. And Jason's unhappy to see that Peter is out of town, quote. And it's clear Veronica knows Jason's looking for Peter and she's very distant with him. Obviously, it's very clear that she does not like him, which she stated in the past.
Yeah.
And their group consists of Caleb, Aria, and Jenna. So Jenna mentions to Veronica that she doesn't want to participate in anything because she doesn't trust anyone at the school and she's had many altercations with girls at the school. And Veronica's like, can you elaborate? And she's like, well, let me just start with that one time that I was cornered in the bathroom and slapped. And so Caleb like jumps in right away. He's like, oh, so we're telling truths here? Maybe you should tell why the slap was provoked. You were the one who started this entire, incident. And clearly you don't want to divulge the whole truth. So I thought that's what we were doing. Oh, and by the way, this is Caleb speaking in case you were confused. Like,
mic drop.
Chef's freaking kiss.
Oh my gosh. Shining moment.
We love this boy.
Shining moment. Oh, yeah. That
and
was
she has
so
nothing
good.
to say. She has no rebuttal.
Yeah.
Because she's right. He's right.
I didn't get what they were trying to get them to do, the exercise. They were
like all of them.
Well, right, but specifically, because later on we see Jenna and Noel in a dark room with writing on the wall with flashlights, and she's like, "I don't want to do that." What was this? Was it they got to write in invisible ink like a truth, and then they were discovering it with flashlights?
It's incredibly unclear, but it seems like. She said they were going to pass paper around to write down some maybe truths or secrets that they had or whatever, but it doesn't really get to that because we're not focusing on the activity at hand.
Right.
But I guess they were in a room where in like black light ink, they wrote on
That's what it seemed like.
Right? Like and their secrets are there to get out, but also nobody can see them.
Do we go back to that or no?
Not this season, at least.
If you like scan the wall, it says, I know who killed Allison De Laurentiis.
It sure does.
I'm like, are we going to go? And
I think that was just like a red herring from the writers. Like, look how fun that would be to include
it's
that. It's
in the school. It's written on the walls.
Mm-hmm.
Who wrote that?
Right. Who wrote that? And also, like, they could be lying.
Of course.
They could know.
Course. Yeah.
So I think that was just a writer's like, haha, that's so fun to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then she must have told her beau, NoelKahn, because he's fuming later on. And there's a scene that we just mentioned of them in the dark room, and Aria comes in to see if Caleb's in there. And Noel and Jenna are like, he better not be in here. He better be gone. Like, they're like laughing so sinisterly. Like, it's
weird.
It's quite funny to me.
Yeah.
I guess he's just mad that Caleb called out his girlfriend. And that maybe he knows that Caleb helped out Jenna in the beginning of the school year. Like, who knows what he knows?
Right.
But he clearly doesn't like Caleb, and neither does Jenna. So Aria heads up to the roof to find Caleb, but of course he isn't up there. But a hooded figure is up there, and it seems multiple other people have followed her up there, but we don't see them until the last minute. And she ends up going up a ladder to see if Caleb is, I guess, further high on the roof. And she gets yanked down by what we were going to assume to be but it ends up being NoelKahn. And he's yanking her down and she's screaming. And so Holden comes in and he does this like karate chop kick.
It's like a Power Ranger.
He looked just like a Power Ranger and knocks Noel down to the ground where Noel was like actually hurt, kicked his ass a little bit. I thought that was great. And they both run out and lock him out of the roof from coming down. But we don't
know why Noel was trying to grab her.
Yeah,
he's like, I wasn't trying to help her. He says, I'm not trying to hurt her.
Right.
And didn't he say it's about Caleb?
He just says, I'm looking for Caleb. Like, I wasn't attacking her. Yeah. But, like, you could have just said, hey, you don't need to pull at someone's leg.
Like, yell her name instead of, like, physically grabbing her leg and yanking?
Yeah. I think Vic had asked what we thought the reasoning was, and I think, honestly, he just wanted to beat up Caleb.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm sick of his shit.
Right.
He called out my girlfriend in front of, like, 10 people.
Right.
He thinks he knows best.
Right.
I think that's what it was. And honestly, it was a device for them to make you think that it was but it wasn't And this girl is so jumpy at all times because is always on constant attack. So, like, what Noel did, he really, like, damaged her.
Yeah.
It's frightening.
Absolutely.
You don't mess around on the roof. So Ashley has a group with Emily and Mona, which this was really fun too. And they perform this exercise about feeling mistreated by other students and being bullied, but also mistreated by staff. And so when it comes to the staff portion, Emily has been dealing with the fact that Mr. Tamborelli won't let her back on the swim team because of her reputation.
Right.
And so she's very verbal about how she feels mistreated. And if you have mistakes, they're like ironclad and you're forever tarnished at this school and it's not fair. And Tamborelli is watching this group and he pulls her aside and tells her that he's feeling attacked and that he defends his staff and he calls Emily no saint.
I felt
that is not a way to speak to a student.
Right. And I felt like this was so out of line.
So out of line.
You're no saint either, Emily. Whoa.
Right?
Wow.
It was so uncalled for a girl who really until this year has been pretty quiet as a student.
Right.
And for her, to be probably one of the best swimmers on the team and never had a problem. And like, mind you, I don't think anyone knows about the human HGH.
Yeah, that whole
situation. So that obviously would have really not allowed her to get back on the team, but they're just solely basing this off of they got arrested, they had to do community service, and it was it's just really unfair, and she's probably made up for her time there and he's just not allowing it. So
yeah,
Mona witnesses this whole thing and she kind of like it's like, what the hell's happening here? And so Emily does talk to her and she's like, I know you overheard what happened, he's such a dick. And Mona's like, yeah, I don't understand why he has to treat you that way. I would love for you to like basically get back at him. And Emily at this point takes the opportunity to apologize to Mona, which I really thought was great, and stating that Allison treated her really poorly and she never said anything. And she's really sorry about that.
She allowed it to happen and witnessed it and didn't say anything. I really liked this scene.
Me too.
Was really good. Really good.
And you can tell that Mona, like, she understands and it was almost about to affect her and then she didn't let it. Yes. She's like, okay, this is really nice to hear maybe. Like, I can't from personal experience feel what she's going through, but I can understand maybe what was going through her brain, and for her to be like, nice to hear, but also I'm not going to go back there. Like, oh, forget it. It's past. Like, she's very deflective because that's probably how her coping mechanism has been this entire time.
Right. And just to keep up the facade and let's keep up the wall. And
right. Like, I'm not sensitive. I'm not emotional.
Right. That's not who I am.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's like, oh, that was 2 personalities ago, which I thought that was so funny.
Great line.
So, yeah, she tells Emily, let's get back at Tamborelli. I used to work in his office freshman year, and I can get in there. And Emily's like, no, let's not do anything. But later on, Mona disguises her voice to call down Emily to the principal's office. And in there, she knows that Tamborelli has all of these bribes from male athletes on the teams, whatever sports teams, and they're going to uncover it. And it was just great. She's like, oh, Tamborelli's across the street having a beer. Like, he's not going to be back here for a while. And they end up uncovering this one instance where he got a very expensive chair from a kid whose family owns this furniture store. And so she brings these discrepancies to Mr. Tamborelli because Emily's like, I'm not going to do anything about it. I don't feel comfortable. And Mona just approaches him and she's like, you're back on the team. And that's what friends do. It was really great. I really loved this.
This was really good.
Really good. Kate asked, how did we read Mona's reaction to Emily's apology, both in the moment and then her efforts to get Emily back on the swim team? Like, I think she was like, I have upper hand here and I can help and use it.
Right. And like, I think she's always wanted to be in the good graces of those girls.
Yeah, I think she's always wanted to just be in the group.
Right. And of course, she's so close with Hannah. She asks Emily, like, oh, have you seen Hannah? You know, that was like her first question.
Right.
But it's almost like, she proceeds with like kind of this like frenemy line.
She does. Right,
because I want to be in, but I'm going to keep you at an arm's length distance.
She has like mischievous tendencies where, like, as we can see, like the Caleb situation, like she had, and she also shoplifts. Like, she has those qualities that make her, quote, like a bad girl, but she also just is really inside like a soft person, but on the exterior she has to be like this, popular girl.
Well, it's who she's decided to become.
Exactly.
Because of what happened in Allison torturing her.
Right. Like her only way to cope with everything was to become this person.
That's right.
Yeah. And then we have our last group, which is Kate, Hannah, and then NoelKahn and Ella as the group leader. And so Kate talks about her old school and how she misses how nice they were to her. And they have this exercise where like pass around a ball to just like, I guess, make improvements at the school. And so Noel is like making these awful comments about, well, if someone did that to me, like I would handle it. And Hannah's like, listen, I didn't do what I was accused. Ella, you've known me like my entire life. Do I seem like this person, this bad person that they're describing? And I really wanted Ella to say something here, but she doesn't say anything. And Hannah like storms out because, it's quiet and nobody's vouching for her.
Yeah.
I just felt really badly. And then Ella tells the moms later on, like, hey, I don't think Hannah did it. I'm like, well, if you didn't, why don't you say something?
Yeah, I mean, maybe she was processing it and didn't want to take someone's side. It's supposed to be this, like, equal playing field of the kids. You know what? Noah's just such a little shit in that circle. And he's like, oh, guys, we get over it real fast. We'll just throw a punch and then we're done. But girls are just mean. And then he says the thing to Kate of like, oh, if that happened to me, you should be a billboard.
Yeah.
With like
and
the
you
naked
see
photo. He's
that Kate like smirks at his comment because
yes,
wouldn't you feel so good? That's not obviously the way he was like using his misogyny, but it probably feels good for a boy to compliment how good your body looks.
Right. And you have learned that, you can be in the school for like a week. NoelKahn is like one of the popular guys.
Right. So she probably felt really good in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then Hannah takes a break and she goes up on the roof with Caleb and they're just venting to each other about this picture. And Caleb's like, let me do something about it. And at this point, there's like these plastic sheets that are blowing in the wind. And Hannah thinks that they're not alone. And Caleb's like, no, we're fine. Let me just trace the IP address on this photo so that you can just at least have peace of mind. We can try and figure out who it is. And she's like, enough with the picture. Let's just hold me. And they kiss and it's really sweet. And she's like, let me just forget my troubles.
I love this
I loved it. I
so
loved it.
much.
Yeah.
I could watch, like I say it every week, I could watch them all day.
Me too.
These two and their on-screen chemistry. I love it.
It's wonderful.
It is.
When she meets up with the girls later, she notices that Kate has this pretty large birthmark on her rib cage, and how weird that is because in the naked photo this birthmark wasn't there.
Yeah.
And Hannah registers and it clicks and she's like, maybe A didn't send this photo. Michelle, good prediction.
Oh man,
she's like, Kate must have done it.
Okay, like I was super happy that I predicted this, but I think it's pretty obvious. I mean, don't you think this is like a typical story? Like you could see this coming. Like
I guess so. Yeah,
mean girl comes to town and she'll have control of it to get the person she's like enemies with, quote unquote, in trouble.
Yeah, it's hard for me to look at it that way, but only because I knew exactly what was going to happen both times I've watched it, or 3 times, whatever times I've watched it. But yeah, it seems kind of obvious. And so they're like, well, we need to figure out a way to get her to disclose this information. So Emily and Aria are locked in the bathroom, and Hannah brings Kate in there, and Kate confesses, and Aria and Emily get it all on tape, which I thought was so great. I love this reveal. It's like, haha, bitch, we got you. Yeah,
they're in the stalls, and then they just like kick it open, like, we got it. I was like, ooh, I love this little teamwork here.
Me too. I thought that was great. And like, while it's predictable, it still worked. I really enjoyed it.
It worked. It's great. I'll take it.
Rihanna asks, what do you think the repercussions for Kate are, if any?
I feel like nothing. I feel like the fact that this happened on Truth Up Day, they'll just be like, girls, this is it. Like, we're even. And we won't press charges or, within the school. And I don't think anything's actually going to happen. It's kind of just like, I told you so.
Right.
My daughter was right.
Yeah, and then Isabel heads to school and she's like, "What's happening?" And Ashley is like, she just has this like smug look, like, I got you. And she's like, "Next time you want to blame my daughter, look at your rotten fruit child that's coming from your tree." And Hannah and her hug, and Isabel's furious. Mike wants to know, how do you think Tom would react to this?
Yeah, I think Tom will apologize to Hannah and he'll just be like, I have to deal with this at home.
Mm-hmm.
But it's true. I actually don't think anything's going to come of this. I think this is it. I would love if something comes of it, but also I'm just like so much more interested in the A of it all.
Of course.
The red coat, Caleb, and Holden. Like this stuff, I just feel like is such, and we said this from the beginning of when they introduced her, and you were like, it gets old fast.
It gets old fast.
So I feel like we're done with this part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that you included Holden in like something that you're excited to see, because I actually really enjoy his and Arya's friendship, and even like the moments where they were like keeping the secrets from each other in this episode. Like, I like their chemistry. I think that honestly, like in my heart of hearts, would love for them to be in a relationship. But
I know we said that when we were watching,
you know,
but like
can't be choosy.
With Arya and Holden, we have seen these two in many scenes already. And so, like, we've developed this backstory. Mm-hmm. And Isabel, I just feel like we don't need this right now.
No, the Isabel and Kate stuff now.
Right.
So as I mentioned, the moms do have the break together, and this is when Ella says, like, look, I feel as though Hannah didn't do this. And then they question again this bullying behavior, and Ashley brings it up again. Like, Hannah said that there's a person framing her. This is, again, someone framing our girls. Like, what is happening? Do you think this is really serious? And they felt like it all started when Allison passed away, but Veronica's like, I think this all started when Allison came into their lives. Mm-hmm. Like, these girls have been like haunted since Allison has been in their lives, since they were however old, 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to hear their perspective, especially because we know Veronica has this like interesting outside perspective of what's going on with their family.
Yeah, there's a huge secret that she's holding in. Yeah. But I also love seeing the three moms talk.
So great. It was great. We miss Pam, but it's so nice to see them actually have a conversation with like no children around and have this like adult dialogue, which, you know, for us who are basically closer to their age, it's nice to see them have like a real conversation.
And them talk about their daughters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I didn't remember how much they talk about A.
Yeah.
Like I didn't remember any of this. I felt like the parents were just always in the dark and they were never understanding what was happening to their kids. But I'm glad to see that there are some scenes, at least in the first and second season, where they are actually curious and concerned. Mm-hmm. Because I felt like they were just absent. But then again, I watched this a long time ago, so I wouldn't have registered parents.
Right.
Because now I'm up close to being a parent, you know?
Right.
Kat has asked, with Ashley catching on that Hannah has said she's been framed twice, will Ashley be the first PLL mom to find out about A? Any predictions for parents finding out about A?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this question.
I can see how that would be true, that Ashley would be the first one, because I feel like Hannah tells her the most.
Yeah.
But now, with the whole Veronica, Jason, and Spencer situation, I could see maybe the Hastings parents knowing more and kind of keeping it to themselves.
Well, we do know that Ella had received a note from A. Yes. Not that she registered it was from their A or what have you, but, you know, she did have a contact with A, one of the first parents.
I don't know how much she's kept that.
Yeah.
You know, kept that in her mind.
Yeah.
So I definitely can see Ashley. I could definitely see Hannah and maybe Caleb talking to Ashley about it. But part of me thinks the Hastings will know and keep it secret.
Okay.
Or not want to like draw attention to this.
Of course not. Of course not. So as we said, it's unclear if Spencer's in a group. She like roams the halls most of her time in this episode. She takes the opportunity to catch up with her pal Jason. So she tells him that she's aware that Peter altered his grandmother's will, and is, is this what you are referencing? And Jason's like, you need to just ask your dad. And so she overhears a conversation between Veronica and Jason, where Jason realizes that Peter's not out of town and he's just avoiding him. And he tells Veronica that he can't avoid him any longer. And you both need to come clean and confess. And he's not leaving town. And so Spencer runs away before anyone can catch her listening to this. But as she is listening, she has a flashback of Allie and her studying, and she hears that both the Hastings are arguing, and Allie's like, what are they arguing about? Like, she's so nosy. And Spencer's like, my dad witnessed Melissa and Jason kissing, and he's obviously not okay with it. Like, it's not a big deal, but he's furious. I've never seen him this mad. And Allie's like, well, to be honest, if they did, it would be frowned upon by the gods. And I think we're to assume that she also probably had other like little digs at this maybe throughout the rest of their friendship, but this is the first time that we see that Allie has referenced that something would be like very non-kosher about Melissa and Jason together. Plus, Spencer's like, she's crazy about Ian. She just did it to do it. I'm like, I don't understand the point of that.
Well, maybe to just add in that they didn't have a relationship. Like,
right. Like, it was just a kiss.
Yeah, that, these half siblings weren't making out. Exactly. I mean, weren't continuing to go further.
A relation. Yeah.
In a relationship.
Yeah. Imagine, like, now, like, looking back, like, Jason being like, shit.
Well, right.
Like,
right.
Ew.
Ew.
And sure Melissa doesn't know. Forget those days. Right. And Melissa doesn't know. So she realizes she has this revelation, and she goes up to Jason and she's like, is my dad your dad too? And he has this like side smirk and he says, who told you? So confirming that, yes, you predicted and Vic predicted, our newbies are doing really well, that Jason is Melissa and Spencer's half sibling.
Peter fathered.
Peter Daddy.
Peter Daddy Hastings fathered.
He's a father. He's multiple fathered.
Ooh.
Yeah, so Spencer approaches Veronica and she's like, I know your secret. I'm really pissed that nobody told anyone. And Veronica says, I didn't even know until Jason was basically an adult. So I guess we're to assume like these past 10 years she has figured it out, if not more. Because he's supposed to be, 22 or something like that. But she says, Melissa doesn't know. And she'd like to keep it that way, clearly. And she's like, just come home. You have to forgive him. I did. And Spencer's like, I'm not you. And I can't even look at him. I basically can't even look at you. And I'm not coming home because that's a joke.
Right.
Home's a joke.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rihanna says, how long until Melissa finds out that Jason's her brother?
I think Spencer will tell her. I think this will maybe gab a little bit of a bridge between them. And when's this? Okay. It's only been 4 months, right? Like, can we go back? Babe, right, quote unquote, 4 months. So baby's coming. So we have another 5 months until said
baby's
baby
like
comes.
Never coming. It's
baby's
forever.
Never coming. Okay, baby's never
it's forever.
Yeah. I'm also curious, like, when do we see Melissa again?
We'll see her next week.
Oh, great.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think it's next week.
Okay, well, whenever she's coming soon.
But you'll see her by the end of the season for sure.
Okay, so I think Spencer's going to tell her.
Yeah.
And I think Spencer will be like, what are you talking about? And then Spencer will be like, you have to believe me. We should
reenact
think
Melissa's going to believe her?
No. Because Melissa,
No. Or maybe Melissa just always had a feeling, like,
I would love that for Melissa, but I just don't have a lot of...
You don't have a lot of hope in that.
No, not in Melissa. Yeah.
Yeah. We also have to tie in the red coat phone number. So during the break, Emily and Aria call this number again just for the hell of it. And this time a female voice answers. And they said, we got the message, but don't call her here again because we don't know who Vivian is. And so they're like, okay, well, guess that's that. And all the girls are asleep and the whole school's asleep. And Spencer's still awake because she's pondering and she's sitting out the window and going over all the things that she's just witnessed. And Emily wakes up and she checks her phone to see she has 6 missed calls from the coat phone number. And she calls it back, and this time a man answers, and he says that he'd like to meet in person so they can go over some stuff.
Yeah. I know, and I was trying to figure out who this voice sounded like. I'm like, oh, it kind of sounds like Caleb.
It sounded like it could be a typical, like...
Yeah. I'm just wondering if it's like so in-house that this isn't actually a new person we're going to meet. Because why are we going to add another character to the roster? So it just makes me think that it's
someone we know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Trying to just prove a point. I don't think this is...
It's not going anywhere?
No, I don't think this is going anywhere. I would love to be proven wrong.
Of course.
But to add another person, this cast is huge.
I know.
And it could just be like a one-off, a one episode of just, finding out who this person is and a little bit more about Allie. But no. I think they're going to show up and meet and they'll see a recognizable face. And they'll be like, oh my God. That's
right. So the person doesn't know that it's the girls that
I think the person knows it's the girls.
But they're ready to come clean for some stuff.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. Well, we'll see next week.
That's right.
And then our final last moment is that A takes Caleb's laptop.
Oh my gosh.
So that's bad news.
That's really bad. So he'll take it, erase everything, and put it back.
Right, but making it seem like it was never gone.
Correct. Yeah.
We had one final question from Vic, who wants to know if Kate's on the island, and would you like me to confirm or deny this?
Oh, wow. I didn't even think about Kate being on the island. Is she on the island?
She sure is.
What?
And as I had said, I'm like, I wish that this storyline was quick, and it actually was quick. Like, we never see her again. Like, we reference her, of course, because she will forever be Hannah's stepsister, but
so
we never see her again.
Okay, so this is literally the end. It goes nowhere.
Yeah, so cheers to that, because, I couldn't stand it.
Cheers to that, friend. Cheers. Yeah. Wow. So she'll just get transferred. And so does this mean...
I guess, yeah.
Tom and Isabel are getting divorced or no?
No, I don't remember because we don't actually solidify it in the season, but I'm pretty sure they don't live in Rosewood anymore. That's like the only thing that makes sense.
A quick.
Right? That was a quick move.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, great. Goodbye, Kate.
It's great. It's so great. Yeah. Because it was annoying. And I remembered that whole play out of the naked photo and her doing it, but I remembered it felt like it was multiple episodes where we dragged that out, but thank goodness we didn't.
Yeah.
So that's it for Kate.
That's it.
Can't wait to move on to bigger and better A things. So all right, let's take a short break, and then we're gonna come back. We have a review to read.
Woohoo!
We have some ice cream. So you just stay tuned.
Michelle, Liz, I heard it's your birthday, which is the perfect excuse to rock a killer outfit and scheme your way into unforgettable moments. Remember, no party is complete without a little touch of mystery. And while secrets may keep us close, cake and ice cream bring us even closer. Here's to unraveling the mysteries of another year older.
All right, so you have just heard this very special A voicemail for our birthdays.
Yeah, our birthdays were the end of March. We celebrated our birthdays at Epicons, which you should listen to our recap episode if you're into that. But thanks, anonymous voicemail. Keep sending.
It's fun.
It is fun.
It's fun for us. I think we have a review.
We do have a review. And
very excited about this.
To share it. Okay. It says, catching up, heart emoji, 5 stars. This is from Tia Susie from Great Britain.
Oh.
I'm a first-time PLL viewer over in the UK and also a first-time TB listener. It's been so fun to listen to your opinions and predictions for the series. You ladies are so lovely, and I love feeling like we are all gossiping together. Excited to catch up with the pod. I'm currently listening to your thoughts on the start of season 2. Red heart emoji, pink heart emoji. Thank you. How did you find us?
Right. How did you find us? And also, when you get to this point, hello, and thank you so much for that sweet review. Yeah. How did you find us? I'm just curious.
We'd love to know.
Send us an email.
Yeah. Did you Google search us? Did you find us in a podcast listening platform? And you were like, I need a Pretty Little Liars? podcast.
Right, to start the show for the first time and then to actually listen to a podcast while you're watching the show. That's pretty great. So then it means you're a newbie unless you know some things, but that's a really fun journey. So thanks for joining us on our journey.
Yes, thank you.
That means the most. All right, so let's go for some ice cream. Lucky Leon's Ladle. It's Haagen-Dazs coffee almond ice cream bars. Coffee ice cream coated in rich Haagen-Dazs milk chocolate and almonds. It's Truth Update for our liars this week, and there's nothing better to keep you up all night than some good old coffee. Not only is coffee good for keeping you up, it's also bitter in tasting, just like the bitter pill Isabel has to swallow now that it was indeed her darling precious daughter Kate that sent the Photoshop picture of herself. The almonds on the outside of the ice cream are chopped up and exposed, which also refers to the picture of Kate being naked and exposed to the whole school. Being naked and exposed brings a feeling of vulnerability, which is what Truth Update is all about. I give this episode 2.5 scoops out of 5, as they could have accomplished the same goals without having it set in an all-night school sleepover. I sure agree about that last portion.
Yes.
We didn't have to have a sleepover, but I know they wanted to do something a little different.
It's like get everybody involved in the same location, I guess.
Right. Like I loved seeing basically almost all of our cast except for like a few of the parents and like Mike. Obviously like the dads, and then we are missing like Mike and like Lucas, just like, the random kids that we haven't really seen in a while.
Yeah.
But it was really, I really actually overall enjoyed it.
It actually would have been really great if Lucas was there.
It would have
Lucas needs some Truth Update in his life.
Yeah. Where are you, Lucas?
Was this actor off doing things, or was this a contract thing, or we only have you?
I don't know. Maybe it's probably contractual. If I had to guess.
Interesting.
Because like as we've said multiple times in this episode and in past episodes, like their cast is huge.
Yeah,
and they have a lot of actual like main actors. Like not there's some guest stars, but like they're a big ensemble. So guess they had to figure out what they were doing.
Yeah.
All right, MVP and shittiest. Who was your MVP?
So my MVP was Caleb, but blue ribbon to Ashley.
Yeah, actually, exactly the same. Because Caleb, obviously, he stood up for his love and vouched for her and made her feel calm and comfortable and still wanted to help out with the A situation.
He's so determined.
Also just really like the pairings were like really good. For some reason, like I'm actually thoroughly enjoyed Arya in this episode. Yeah. I was like, I want to see you do something that's not tied to Ezra. Like it's just so nice to see her like be friends with someone like Holden, be friends with someone like Caleb, being daring enough to like take the phone and be like, no, I'll talk as Vivian. Just like it's really, I really liked her in this episode.
Yeah, she was good.
And Ashley, for obvious reasons of being like the only parent that's like, what's happening?
Right.
Should we be concerned?
Yeah.
My shittiest was NoelKahn.
Same.
Because why you gotta yank for?
Why you have to yank? You are such a turd. Like he is king turd.
Why you gotta yank it? We've used turd so
well. Garrett,
much.
We said was king turd.
He's
but
king turd, and Noel is like his second in command.
Prince turd, king turd, and prince turd.
There you go, king and prince. Prince turd is for sure NoelKahn.
Monarchy.
Ugh, he's just awful.
He's so bad.
He's so damn charming, but it doesn't really reflect because he's so turdy.
Him and Jenna have been dating for what, 5 minutes?
I don't know.
Right?
It's got to be like a week.
2 weeks, if that.
If that. Max 2 weeks. Because they were seen at Rive Gauche. That name just like so exaggerated. It was like 2 weeks ago for us, right?
Yeah.
2 episodes ago?
Yeah. I just
don't like him.
He sucks.
He sucks. What do you feel on a cringe meter? How high or how low this ranked?
I don't know. I don't think it was that cringed out.
I didn't either.
What are you thinking?
I would say maybe it's like a 2.5, 3.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I think like it's not really cringy, but there were parts that made me laugh. Obviously, Truth Up.
Truth Up. I laughed.
As a name.
I laughed with Holden doing the Power Ranger thing, but also like I shouldn't laugh at that.
Well, I also laughed at that, but when we do this like extreme turn to his book bag on the floor and just like the pills are out, like nothing else fell out but this baggie.
No,
that felt a little.
It was too.
Yeah.
It was reaching there.
It was reaching.
Yeah.
But besides that, not too bad.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm just going to give you the title. And
yes,
then
girl.
I actually have a little email from A that we can finish off the episode with.
Awesome.
So the title for next week's episode, which is episode 20.
Woohoo!
Next week's a good episode. It's called Control A.
Okay.
Like, Control Alt Delete, like Control A.
Uh-huh.
And my secret revealed is that A sends Mr. Baron Byron a message about Arya and Ezra's whereabouts because they're meeting up again next week. Yeah, so as I teased, well, didn't tease, but as I mentioned earlier about Ella getting an A message, now Byron's getting an A message.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. A is not messing around. They're like, no, Arya and Ezra need to cut it.
Yeah, and Arya had that conversation with Holden, like, I'm not doing this anymore. And he's like, don't you need me? Mm-hmm. And she was like, no, I'll figure it out.
I'll figure it out on my own.
Mm-hmm. Ooh. Okay. Well, I can't wait for Byron to run into them. Also, we don't know if Ezra turned down this job.
Right. We still have to talk about the job situation.
Right. And so maybe when they're caught, that's when Arya's going to find out about the job situation and he'll tell Baron that I just wanted to meet up with her to tell her I'm leaving. And okay. I think Ezra will go away for a little while, but I don't think he's actually going to go to the job.
Okay, so he's not going to take the job, but he's going to be out of the next couple episodes.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's my prediction.
It's a good prediction.
Thank you.
Yeah. An A email. Oh no, you caught me. Hey, bitches. Well, Liz, I have to hand it to you. Looking into IP addresses thinking you'd catch me. But don't you know that when you think you're trying to get ahead of me, I'm already 10 steps ahead of you. IP scrambles do exist. Your boyfriend Caleb will be so disappointed that you had to cheat in order to find me. Sue me. I was daydreaming of beaches in California.
It's a good one.
And I happen to have looked at all of the emails, and they all come from the same IP address. Also,
really?
I did a longitude latitude point, and I won't out you for where exactly this IP address is coming from, just in case you maybe work at this place. But it gave me no insight.
Oh, okay. I was like, are you going to share with the class?
It led to a gas station, the longitude latitude point in California.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So
that's so weird.
I don't know.
Oh my God.
I don't know how to tell if this is like a fake thing.
Yeah.
I gotta ask my boy Caleb about it. Caleb, can you help us out?
Caleb, help us.
Yeah.
Ooh. But the search continues.
The search continues, and like we're nearing the end of the season, so
I know.
I don't
know.
Will you
get
reveal?
A reveal?
I don't know.
Like,
I hope so.
Who is this season's A? Or if
who's
it's
your
like
prediction?
Well, I still think it's the A team. I still think it's a bunch of our Bettys working together. So I'm curious if there won't be a reveal, and then they'll just continue on until the end, or however long they want to do this, because this is
a long time.
It's a long time. Or because it's the A team, one of them will volunteer as tribute and be like, "Oh, it was me," but
I won't reveal who anyone else is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love a collaboration effort, so that's what I'm hoping for.
Same. I would love to see that.
Yeah.
Either way, it's still fun. And we appreciate the
fun.
emails and the voicemails.
Yeah.
I think it adds a fun element to the show. So
it does. Thank you.
Thank you to Thank you to our listeners. Thank you to our patrons. We'll be back next week. We'll be live next week with our patrons in the Discord and on YouTube. We stream via Patreon. So if you're interested in seeing us podcast live, maybe that's something you want to, join. Thank you, Michelle.
You're welcome.
We'd love to have you, and we'll be back next week for episode 20. That is 20. Unbelievable. It just shocks me every time, each week, that we're getting
closer
every
and closer
week
to the finale. We gain another number. We're moving closer and closer to the end. You're like, I can't believe we're at. I can't believe we're at. It's so funny.
I still can't believe it. So 5 more weeks, and we'll be in spring. So have a great Wednesday.